In a rapidly evolving world, innovation knows no bounds. Generative AI is rewriting the rules across industries. At Regenesis, we recognize generative AI's significance and its diverse industry applications. In HR, it contributes to altering recruitment in a meaningful way, enhancing employee onboarding experience, driving professional growth, moving the focus of performance reviews from paperwork to conversations, retaining champion employees. In marketing, generative AI helps in lead identification, marketing optimization, and personalized outreach. It enhances manufacturing by optimizing processes, improving supply chains, and enabling predictive maintenance. In finance, it can be used in risk assessment, scenario analysis, fraud detection, and financial forecasting. Generative AI is revolutionizing the world, enhancing industries and empowering humanity. Boost corporate potential with Regenesis Gen AI Academy.
Ready to transform your organization with sustainable excellence? Introducing the ESG program from Regenesis Corporate Education. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance, the pillars of responsible business. From understanding ESG fundamentals for every employee, to empowering managers with tools to plan and track initiatives, and equipping senior management to integrate ESG strategies into your mission. Join our comprehensive ESG bootcamp and lead the way in sustainable business practices. Regenesis Corporate Education. Transforming businesses, inspiring futures.
Transform your data skills with the Data Zen Master program from Regenesis Corporate Education. Learn to excel in data analysis and visualization using Power BI, PowerPoint, Excel, Generative AI, and Python. From data processing and analysis to creating impactful visual narratives, our modules cover it all. Gain practical skills with hands-on exercises and real-world scenarios. Elevate your workforce with Data Zen Master program from Regenesis Corporate Education.
Regenesis Corporate Education presents the Women's Leadership Program, empowering women at every career stage with our unique AEI model. Transform your early career with vital skills in communication, decision-making, and conflict resolution. Challenge and conquer, reframe limiting beliefs, and build resilience. Lead with compassion, develop emotional intelligence, and impactful communication. Thrive inside and out, prioritize well-being for sustainable energy. Embrace action, take decisive steps towards personal and professional flourishing. Champion equity, build a more just and empowered world. Unlock potential, empower change. Invest in women, and watch your organization thrive from the inside out. Join the Women's Leadership Program today at Regenesis.
In a rapidly evolving world, innovation knows no bounds. Generative AI is rewriting the rules across industries. At Regenesis, we recognize generative AI's significance and its diverse industry applications. In HR, it contributes to altering recruitment in a meaningful way, enhancing employee onboarding experience, driving professional growth, moving the focus of performance reviews from paperwork to conversations, retaining champion employees. In marketing, generative AI helps in lead identification, marketing optimization, and personalized outreach. It enhances manufacturing by optimizing processes, improving supply chains, and enabling predictive maintenance. In finance, it can be used in risk assessment, scenario analysis, fraud detection, and financial forecasting. Generative AI is revolutionizing the world, enhancing industries and empowering humanity. Boost corporate potential with Regenesis Gen AI Academy.
Ready to transform your organization with sustainable excellence? Introducing the ESG program from Regenesis Corporate Education. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance, the pillars of responsible business. From understanding ESG fundamentals for every employee, to empowering managers with tools to plan and track initiatives, and equipping senior management to integrate ESG strategies into your mission. Join our comprehensive ESG bootcamp and lead the way in sustainable business practices. Regenesis Corporate Education. transforming businesses, inspiring futures.
Transform your data skills with the Data Zen Master program from Regenesis Corporate Education. Learn to excel in data analysis and visualization using Power BI, PowerPoint, Excel, generative AI.
Recording in progress.
A very good evening to all of you present today. We have congregated here to talk about today's topic, that is manufacturing sector. The topic for today is the future of HR in the digital age in manufacturing sector. The panel discussion is going to be conducted by Regenesis Corporate Education. Regenesis began its journey of awakening potential of individuals way back in 1996 by three visionaries, Dr. Marco Scheravagna, Dr. Penny Law, and William Vivian. From that day till today, we have awakened potential of many individuals. When we say we, what I mean is, it is Regenesis identity is the identity of every single person associated with Regenesis. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming each and every one of you online and offline and also to the panel. So let me begin to talk, but before that, little bit of introduction about me. I'm Dr. Saraswati. I'm going to be the host and the moderator for today. So when moderator is told, you need not get tensed. You can be relaxed. We are going to keep it really very, very an interesting session. But of course, when the interesting topic is there, it's also going to be a lot of value addition to all of us. So I would like to tell all of you, give a big round of applause for all of us today for gathering here. And also to the audience who are online, thank you so very much for joining us today. And it's really important that you are here, and it matters a lot to all of us. So now let me quickly introduce each one of you to our panelists. Ladies first. So we have Madam Nidhi Irani, the head of Human Resources, Renewsys India Private Limited. So we were having some discussion there, and if I have to introduce Madam, I would say 100 problem, 1 solution. And that is Nidhi Irani. She has worked in many organizations. When she has stepped up in many organizations, not so good. I don't want to say chaos or something, not so good, but ma'am has really, really worked a lot, putting everything perfect in place. So she's a master in handling people. She has background of psychology, specialization in counseling psychology. So when she sees human, she's not just seeing the human, but also the emotions that are attached to it. So, of course, because of that reason, maybe ma'am doesn't like to touch Kindle, but she loves reading books, and she wants the hard copy in her hand to touch, feel the emotions of the writer from the book to the heart. Thank you so very much for coming today, madam. And then I want you to introduce to our next panelist, Mr. Manoj Prasad, the Vice President, Digital Transformation, Capability Development, Organization Change Management from Reliance Industry. To tell about Sir, new things, new place. Sir loves that. Such a kind of adaptability he has, and he's always looking for something new, and there's nothing like a barrier for change or anything. So he's an example for us that we have to embrace all the new things that come to us and take it as an opportunity for us to grow and evolve, as our awakening potential says. It's a good way to do that. Thank you so very much, sir, for coming here for us. And next, I move on to the next panelist, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, CHRO from the APR Limited. And to say about Sir, he is a great swimmer. Writing is something he just loves, and many things like our earlier panelist, he loves to venture into new things and experiment new things in his life. Thank you so very much for joining us today. This really means a lot to us. And then we have Mr. Subhanesh Malhotra, the Vice President of Human Resources from Welspun Limited. It is really interesting to see him from Delhi to Ahmedabad to Mumbai. He loves traveling and getting to new places, finding out new opportunities, new potential, and many things to his interest. Thank you so very much for joining us today. And our next panelist, Mr. Adir Mane, CHRO of Raymond Limited. It was so interesting when I was talking to him, because he told, what is a mountaineer, what is trekking? He's an avid trucker, all into adventure. That's a great thing we saw in him. That is very interesting thing we were talking in the room. So thank you so very much for joining us. He has worked in technology, pharma, big, small, any size of the organization. He's absolutely fine with the size of the organization, whatever the nature of the organization is, so adventurous even in his work. Mr. Manish Prashar is our next panelist, Plant HR, Blue Star Limited, and our panelist loves Himachal roads. He can just keep walking the Himachal roads all through the day, and he is excited whole day doing trekking. So we have 3 trekkers actually in our panel. Very interesting, very adventurous, so they are doing their work in their organization in that way. And then we have with us Viju Joy, our own CEO of Regenesis Corporate Education and Digital Regenesis. So audience, online, offline, you all know what kind of panel members we have today to join us in this interesting discussion. So I'm sure for the next 60 minutes, you're not going to look at the clock, and you're going to be glued to your screen, and here you're going to be glued towards the dais here. So now this is about panelists. And to the panelists, let me just take 5 minutes, not so much of time, to tell you who we are. So you can see awakening potential is the mantra for Regenesis. So we have Regenesis Business School, we have Digital Regenesis, and Regenesis Corporate Education. So Regenesis is in so many places, awakening every individual potential. We also have Ed for All, with the vision that no one should hear no for education, is what our founder thought. So we have Ed for All. For, as the name says, Ed for All, it is for everybody. There is no problem if somebody doesn't have money, they need not worry. They can just have to step inside Regenesis, and we are there for them to do whatever they want to. So we have such big missions, and a little bit about corporate education. Viju Joy, yeah, I request you to say about that.
Yeah, thanks Saraswati. Corporate education is in India one of the fastest growing corporate company in India. We are focusing towards cutting-edge technology training. At the same time, we want to bring the leadership part of it. That it's not just the technology, but how leadership is evolving, how humans are evolving, and we want to give trainings which are impacting your workplace. So impactful learning. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. So we are not going to take much of time now. You know the panel members, know the audience online, offline, know about our panel members. So it's time to get into our topic. So to give a brief idea, a backdrop about our topic, so every other country on this planet graduated from primary agro-industry, followed by manufacturing sector, before shifting to tertiary. But somehow in India, what we did is a change, and we stepped into the service sector and then manufacturing, but of course we are there. And you also know about the Make India movement, which is introduced by the government and so on. We have some questions over here to our panelists where we are going to focus on manufacturing sector and HR. As all of them are from the HR background, I think they are the right people to tell us about the current trend that is happening in manufacturing sector. So can we start with the questions? Yeah. Maybe to ma'am, ladies first. What practical steps can a HR leader take today to ensure their departments are prepared for digital future in the manufacturing industry? Because we are more into technology and HR is also more into technology. How do you see this?
See, HR is evolving every minute, while we are speaking, HR is evolving, and so is technology. So it's high time that we understand that they'll have to work hand in hand. Cross-functional teams is one very good experiment that we were trying in our organization, taking up specific projects and kind of dealing them with a cross-functional team, where HR works very closely with IT, works very closely with finance, works very closely with the production people to understand their point of view, and most importantly, also understand that where is it that they need to kind of step up or also align themselves with the technology piece. So I think that's one very good example that HR leaders today can kind of encourage within their teams. And of course, learning is something that needs to happen on the go. They need to, encourage teams to learn a lot about AI. AI is all over, So like we are talking, I can see audience here and there's people outside looking at me live right here. So I think this is where we need to step up. We need to understand how we can teach our own HR teams to be learning more of technology, and because it's no more limited only to the IT section of the organization. Earlier it used to be like this, I'm sure it's no more like that. So it's time that we step up, we learn more, get into more diverse set of learnings, and of course put that into our own way of working.
Thank you so very much. As you say this, what I think is about there's too much of automation, right, and technology and so many things happening. So to Mr. Sanjay, what I want to ask is, when we say so much of automation happening and a lot of technology coming in, how do you think that we can attract, retain talents?
Thank you. So I think I'll first begin with adding a bit. I think her answer was
please feel free to do so. Yeah.
But I'll just add to it that within the technology space, first one should work on the populating the data on which AI can be trained, and then it can really create magic for the organization, and not only automation but through digitalization. Unless the data is right, how we are working, how the processes are working, what is the on employees, on different processes, different interactions. I think that is one thing. So I thought she answered it very well, so I'd like to add to that. Now beyond that, how to attract, retain and motivate, you said? No, attract and retain talent.
Yeah.
See, in this, I would say one, manufacturing is not perceived as the most attractive destination for most of the young graduates and postgraduates in the country. So though it is not, it actually is. The reason is that there is relatively more stability of tenure, longer tenures are there in manufacturing, and it is here that one can really work on, because in other industries, by the time you are investing your time, energy and money on some of the employees, either hypos or whosoever they are, whichever segment of employee population, they may be by that time preparing to leave the company. So I think manufacturing is the place. Now one of the things which one needs to do is to every organization to make it be perceived and looked upon as really attractive as a career destination. So I think that is one. How to do that is through employer branding and through showing the career paths to the employees, that what is in it for them and how they can grow within the company as much or maybe faster than the other industry. Like what are the more perceived lucrative industries, like where I have worked for most part of the years, IT, BFSI, telecom. You know, so I think this is actually more attractive in the true sense. But maybe that has not been leveraged. How to do that? Retention is a little better, but with India, China plus one strategy and the other global factors, when you see the apprehension of Fed rate, you know, increasing in the US all the time, the Red Sea challenge which is there, the Gaza Strip problem which is there, and of course the Ukraine and Russia which never seems to end, the geopolitical scenario, and overall volatility like in the Japanese bourses recently, and also constantly job data reduction in the US. With all this overall economic scenario, I think India is staying really doing very well, and India is looked upon as the destination to grow, and this is India's not only the decade but also the century, which is a great thing. So it brings out a lot of opportunities, and for Make in India, truly we have not started also, but the government is really trying with the PLI scheme and other things to do. What is important for the industry is to encash on it, leverage on it, and I think to retain more different compensation, equity-based compensation, be it in form of ESOP, RSU, ESAR, or whatever way, sweat equity, whatever. So different ways. I think that is one thing which certainly, so that it is looked at par with, you can't just substitute or compensate employees by telling that you have stability and this is a better industry. But I think you need to really give them they will look at where the moolah is, where the money is. So they have to be that really LTIs, the long-term incentives, they have to be redesigned, and the benchmarking has to be done properly. So that's one part, which is the hygiene part, I would say. The second is their career path and what are the inputs at different stages of the career we are giving. Whereas India is a great place to be in today, the flip side is everybody is growing. So there's a lot of poaching. For the first time, I think we are seeing, I think I've overshot the time, so I'll just make it short. So for the first time, you can see today you make offers at the senior most levels also, and people are withdrawing their candidature after 3 months, 2.5 months, just prior to joining. This was never the case earlier. This is a very big challenge. I think the biggest challenge will become is to hire over the years. Secondly, hire the right people. The second challenge will be how to, so the only solution rather is to how to grow people within, make or buy as they say. So in APAR, for example, in my company, we have a couple of programs segment wise. First is with Wellinkers, we have co-curated a program for the succession planning N-1, the next to leadership level, for them who will become the future of APAR, and we are going to give those certificates, I'm happy to share, this month end with Wellinkers. So that the whole entire syllabus, it is an 8-month program. So that is for that level. For the next level, we have done different other programs. There's 360-degree exercises. Anyway, all the experts are here, Johari Window. Based on that, to different people, what they need. So I think this is what I would say. And how to ensure that when automation takes over, and it must take over the routine tasks, I feel my opinion is that like the IT days, it will create many more jobs because the cognitive abilities may still be replicated to some extent. Scale will be better by AI, speed will be better. Whether it will be in the right direction, I don't think so. The humans will think still smarter than them. So that is where we should look at creativity, problem solving, emotional quotient. And I think as the society gets more glued to our mobile, the new generation particularly, there's more and more responsibility on HR to address the imbalances in the individual employees' lives, counseling and that way. So I think there's a lot to do, and all this can help. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that detailed explanation, sir. So when you say about this, about the current generation, my question to all the panelists is, now that we know about the Gen Z, and we also know the fact that manufacturing industry is not a glamorous industry. So how or what is the method you think that we can employ to bring this Gen Z to the non-glamorous industry, manufacturing?
I think, sorry. I think, first of all, I would not like to call manufacturing non-glamorous. If so I think that's the starting, that's the kind of mindset which we should operate with. Because if you want to attract the Gen Z and the next millennials to the entire organization, I think what we need to do is to, as Sanjay rightly said, we do got to position this industry very differently. And that's the big part that the leaders of HR today have before them. Also, it's also to do with a lot of ecosystem within the country as to how they support the manufacturing industry from the PLI schemes and so on and so forth to make this a very attractive destination. Because the genesis of manufacturing is in terms of the innovation, creativity that they would actually look at, and how this is an industry which actually fuels growth for the organization. If you have, in a sense, I'm not talking about the retail or other industries, but typically if you don't, in a manufacturing setup, well, people will get attracted to other functions, but if you don't have this in the right shape and form, you can't do much with the sales, and what are you going to sell at the end of the day? Yeah. So I think it's up to us also as a community, as a leadership, to how do I position manufacturing very differently, right from your college pass out days, to make this attractive destination or destination of choice, as they say. That's very important from an ecosystem standpoint. How do I do this? The second part is from a manufacturing perspective, what is basically the career path that you got to show to people, the youngsters who join on the floor, and how to actually build a lot of capability around that. So in my organization currently in Raymond, we have talent programs which are actually designed to look at the first line, we call it the Future Leaders Program, the Emerging Leaders Program, and the Transformation Leaders Program. A bit of all populations are within manufacturing from where we actually recruit people for these programs. These are fast track programs, these are leadership development programs. So I think a lot of chunk of manufacturing people actually get into these programs for them to know what are the visible options that they have going forward. Also in Raymond, we have developed something called a career path positioning system within the HRMS or the HR IT system. So when I join a manufacturing or when I join a sales, I need to know where I can actually navigate my career to. So these are some of the things which we have developed within our organization for the, not just manufacturing, the entire organization, but I'm saying this is where manufacturing people also get to know where I can move. So we also follow something like how we can actually have transferability of people from manufacturing to sales to supply chain operations, etc. So that is something which we work very solidly on. Ours is a textile garmenting industry, as well as we have an engineering piece which we have with us. So we look at how we can actually do fungibility of manufacturing across the whole organization. So it's possible in a large conglomerate like a Reliance or a Raymond to actually have fungibility of talent across these groups. So I think I would want to dispel the doubt in minds of people. Manufacturing is not very glamorous. It's not very big, but it's the mother of all industry from that sense. Because if you're an industry which is belonging to the manufacturing sector, I think this is something we as HR folks need to change our own mindsets to actually look at this industry and look at positioning this industry differently. So therefore, for the youngsters who join us, how do I actually position the career for them in the organization? How do I actually brand as an employer of choice for for manufacturing. In fact, if you look at many organizations, when they develop their management trainee programs, etc., they actually move people across sales, marketing, manufacturing, so that to give them a flavor of different sectors within the whole organization. So it's also important for us as HR leaders, so how to actually build these the brand of manufacturing, so to speak. Which also what he spoke about, China plus one strategy. I think manufacturing within India is going to grow leaps and bounds with the PLI schemes coming, etc. It is going to go exponentially. Also, different sectors of manufacturing. It's not just the rudimentary and the traditional sectors of manufacturing we were used to. Today, we are looking at very, very high-tech sectors like building the chips and semiconductors, etc. So the processes will be very different. The application of those industries will be different. So I think there will be high-tech manufacturing which will also be done in India, where the entire game plan is how we will actually develop these industries to attract talent. In fact, in India, we might not have that talent today for example, chip designing and chip manufacturing. So I think with a lot of collaborations overseas, I think we've started setting up as a country. But I think these are some high-tech sectors which are coming, and also the manufacturing sector embracing Industry 4.0. There are phenomenal days ahead of manufacturing when the entire integration of IoT, the entire integration of digitization in the manufacturing floor. The youngsters will actually start snatching these jobs. The youngsters will look at playing a very, very different role from a manufacturing leadership perspective. I think so. We should not, at least from my perspective, we should not look at manufacturing, oh, I don't know, how can I try? I think if you have a positive mindset to attract and retain talent, there's population across the entire country which we can actually attract, retain, and probably grow with the organization. My just few words.
Thank you so very much for that. Yes, sir, please.
So, in continuation to what sir has said, that it is rightly said that manufacturing is a mother of all industry. It is the starting point for all the industry. Now, if compensation and benefits are the most attractive for the youngster or millennials, so now compensation for manufacturing is now equitable to IT industry and other industry, because they are benchmarking what the market is paying. So manufacturing is also paying as per other industry. And branding of role model. Now in manufacturing sector, you will see that top positions, the person who is sitting on the top position, he is starting from the trainee or some base position. So it is already there that one person who started his career as an engineer or basic position, he can grow up to CEO. So it is, you can very well see. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Sir, to you, I want to ask you a question, that is, how can HR bring in a diverse workforce, an inclusive workforce in manufacturing industry?
Yeah, so one of the, the things which we are, in fact, the entire manufacturing organization is facing, it's related to the, I can say DI, because, I mean, DI is one of the things, which is still not very lucrative for the manufacturing organizations, particularly if you talk about, the male versus female in the organizations. So still in manufacturing organization, still it is low. But if you take, say 15, 20 years back story and all, at that point of time, even the labor laws were not very supportive. So barring, some of the SEZ kind of things and all. So women were not basically, allowed to work in the night shift and all. Women are not allowed to work into the, the captive mines and all. But I think things are changing very fastly, because technology is, now it's everywhere. Okay, and it is pushing the boundaries every time. So if I take the example of, the Gartner, who is basically, giving the directions on the technology part and all. So what he's saying basically in this current scenarios, there are some technology, we call it the twin technologies. Okay, so twin technology is nothing that you have a plant which is operating maybe 1,000 kilometers far off, but you can create a replica. If I give you the example of Reliance, we have one world largest manufacturing organization. I mean, say the one plant which generates almost $19 billion of with a 9,000 employees, and that's the biggest refinery in the world. So end to end, I'm talking of top line and bottom line both. The entire plant is basically run by 9,000 employees, and only, because they have leveraging technology like anything. So you can compare this particular plant with anywhere in the world, and you will find that it is, in terms of the technology, they have a lot of edge and all. So if I wanted to, visit that particular plant, it will take not less than, 3 to 4 days for covering the entire. Still, a lot of the place you won't be able to capture and all. So, but the entire, the plant is being captured by basically run by 9,000 employees, and they are running, with just seeing the dashboards, and from dashboard they are running all kind of the manufacturing process. So I'm saying, the way we are moving currently, and the way we are leveraging the technologies, the days are not very far off, where you will find that a lot of the DI is also getting address on that. It's very similar to if you count, I mean, say, on the board members in any of the organization, you'll not find even 2% of the basically the board members are from the other the female and all. So this is the challenge which is everywhere, and as whatever you said, still we are very traditional in terms of the economy, in terms of the culture part and all. So that requires to be revamped, and it is moving very fastly. If you see, I mean, say, the way the education institutions are contributing, you cannot say this girl cannot go to the manufacturing organizations, okay? And organizations as a HR, I am talking as a culture, they are also providing a conducive environment, because they knows that I'm not taking any gender bias and all, but females are in some of the space, they are very effective. Like if you take the example of teaching. So they have a lot of patience. And similarly, if you get into replicate the same thing to the manufacturing also, HR is primarily dominated by the females. And the reason I will not tell, I think everybody understand, because they have a lot of software skills, and when you are handling with the people, you need to be very patient on that. So that landscape is changing very fast, and I feel going forward, it will be time where you will see this percentage is also moving very fastly. And as a diverse, as I said, we have already getting into a manufacturing organization, make in India kind of things. But I think some kind of, the revamp is required, particularly on the labor laws. Of course, we have come with the labor codes and all, but still we are not seeing the reality on the ground level, what kind of the change has been done. But we look forward for, bringing a very similar kind of a culture which can be very productive and conducive for everybody.
Yeah, Viju, you would like to add something?
So I'll give you a different perspective, that from a different point of view. When we started the technology training, we thought it's going to be IT who will be the largest consumer of technology training, but surprisingly it was manufacturing. 60% of our IT training or the technology training is happening through manufacturing. In fact, one of the largest cement manufacturers, you would be knowing the largest, I can't quote the name here, but their digital transformation, the IoTs, the digital twins, it's completely done by our team. So we were surprised. This data completely surprised us. So when you say that it is attracting new talent, the younger generation, and how the technology is also coming in play is absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
just to add, if we look at, I was looking at the number while coming here. So I was saying in our organization in Gen Z, we talk about, when we touch that topic, around 30% Gen Z has already joined our organization. They're working in our organization. So I think, everybody said rightly, it's about how we are positioning as in manufacturing and what types of conducive policies in terms of as an HR leader, we are able to bring for everyone, which can help and promote your diversity, inclusive growth, as well as the programs. As we say today, every individual not looking for loyalty, they look for what's in it for them, what kind of a growth they will get that. And today, there are a lot of companies are there. If you ask me, like I was looking at some data, around 5,000 company recruit, around 50,000 candidates are available in the market. But unless until we have a right policies to attract what are we looking for in an organization. So I think as an organization, being a part of manufacturing, we should be clear what we want to hire. Sometime how to position that. So as an organization, if we are clear about the objective, how we can take the people ahead in the career, so I think then you can retain and add value to the system. Apart
Please
from
feel
that,
free to join, sir.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think from a diversity perspective, there's a lot of work that we have done from a not Reliance, sorry. I was there, but so from Raymond perspective. So typically, we run this entire program under a banner called Shakti. Shakti means the strength, the inherent strength. And we started this program about before COVID. We continued that in COVID also. We actually looked at sensitizing leadership, men and women on the Shakti. So we looked at how actually look at bringing the learnings from the deities within India that we have, Durga, Saraswati and all that. So I think the first phase was that. The second phase of Shakti was really the mind, body and soul. We address issues around this, both men and women. We are now actually embarking on the third phase of Shakti, where we'll actually look at how to actually provide inspiring leadership for D&I as a issue, and actually look at bringing D&I to the fore. While we are subscribed to ESG norms, etc., but typically what we are doing, which is different, is that it's not manufactured, but in one of our retail businesses, we have done a very unique experiment, which is called creating a women brigade. And within a year's time, this entire women brigade will actually manage a complete site, a construction site, which would mean that they will be looking at construction materials, construction technology, construction of, looking at how do I procure. So we've just launched this program about 2 months back, where the entire 18 odd people got together, and we have a vision of actually looking at building a complete site for us using a diverse entire site manned by women, so to speak. So it's something very audacious and a very ambitious goal that we have taken, but we already launched. So there is nothing that we can actually bring this program back. So I can commit to this forum that this is something which we already tried and tested, and which is also on the right path, so to speak. So I think the other part I may also want to share with you all is that we also are looking very closely at how do I build leadership diversity, because that's where, and it's the management literally is replete with a lot of instances why diversity is key and important. I'm not going that part, but we have taken lots of very phenomenal steps to actually insert talent within leadership as well, whilst we are far away from numbers. But if I can actually let you know, the garmenting side of the business is completely manned by women. The nature of the business actually wants women, but we are looking at a lot of forces in terms of development and learning and development for these women to actually rise to supervisory and beyond, and look at unit head positions as well. So that's something which we do very, very consciously. We are not just keeping it in placards and boards and your screens that we want to project, but typically on the ground there's a lot of traction that we have developed on diversity. For the real estate business, slightly away from manufacturing, but we have committed that we will have 40% women diverse candidates in the next 3 to 4 years. And that's a commitment the business has given in that sense. So we are already at 30%, which is a phenomenal journey that we've actually taken. And we actually have policies where we incent people to hire women and diverse candidates. We have issues like, if a women candidate has resigned, we actually, through policy, we make sure that the women candidate gets hired. So a lot of force we have created through a policy intervention of that sort. It also means that we also done a lot of work around clearing or looking at how do I address the unconscious bias which is there in the system. We are a 100-year-old organization. Yeah, we'll be celebrating our centenary next year. So that unconscious bias is something which we work on constantly with people. In spite of doing so many things, still the men folk will say, "Oh, Shakti, na, wo to ladies ka program hai." I say, no, it's not a ladies program. So that's what we want to actually clear the mindset, and we want to completely get a complete leadership buy-in. We also have a leadership council where probably we will look very closely from how we want to drive this program. Long way to go for us, but great beginnings that we have, and actually we have taken some audacious goals which the leadership of the organization is committing to deliver onto.
A very valid point. We need to break away from this unsaid, unconscious bias, you know. It's not only the women who need a work from home policy, it's a lot of men also, you know. And we realized that when we started analyzing the data, that it is also about male employees wanting to have certain policies which will ease out the work, ease out their business, the day-to-day business for them. You know, they want to have the work from home policy. They want to have a few days of, you know, a break in between, etc. So they've so we need to really break away from the traditional thinking, you know. And then also not associate women that अच्छा वो work from home policy है तो वो अच्छा women के लिए बनाई होगी ना अभी क्या ज़रूरी है. No, it's not like that, guys. We need to think different now. I would rather seen more women coming forth and taking up audacious roles, I would say, or rather challenging themselves every minute, every day, then I would say, I mean, I'm not biased, but I'm just saying this is what we've observed personally, you know, and throughout a few of organizations that I was working with. COVID really changed the scenarios, our thought processes. So we need to now start accepting it. That it's not only, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we are not only talking about increasing the women workforce, or rather we are talking about employees in general. Yeah, that's very important. And as HR leaders, we need to consciously bring in this thought to the management, or rather inculcate that for the management to kind of start talking like that. You know, once we start talking, preaching about it, talking, and also practicing it on your day-to-day life. Yeah? So that I feel is very important. As HR leaders, we are the conscious keepers of the organization. We need to adhere to that very important role that we play for the employees and also from the management perspective.
Yes, yes.
I'll just make it short. So at APAR Industries, what we have done is that we realized that to increase the, to make the gender ratio better, which traditionally was not, we realized that the only way we can do it substantially, meaningfully, is to hire women in our factories, which, you know, actually house the largest workforce. We can't do it by doing, because in the offices we are anyway doing well. So what we have done is we have your name for the program, which is called Saraswati, and the engineer GTs as well as MTs, all in the plant, primarily the engineers. So we started doing 3 years back with the hiring more and more women for the QC, quality control, R&D, and other functions, related functions, HR, finance in the plant. Now we have a very large number of girls who come, students who just pass out, and they are there in production as well in as many number. So we want to break that mold, and that earlier, of course, they are, I would not say that they are not better disposed for certain functions which was mentioned, but I think they can do any function they are doing already in many companies. So that is one thing which I would like to mention. Thank you.
So just in continuation to sir, what we are doing in Blue Star, prior to COVID, we have zero gender diversity in a manufacturing plant. So after COVID, management has taken an initiative to introduce women power in the manufacturing sector. And gradually we have started identifying the processes, locations, area where women can work. So started in manufacturing, and now I will be glad to say that now it is, since before 2020 it was 0%, now it is 14% we have reached, and we are targeting in next 3 years 25%. One manufacturing shop is completely managed by female employees. It is control box, it is electronics parts they have to arrange, and they are perfectly managing their shift and producing the required number within the definite time period. And all other functions like HR, finance, quality, women's are there and performing very well. And it is just an initiative taken by management, and it is just a policy driven by top. It can never be. One can never thought about that female can work in a manufacturing sector. Before, you can say that 5 or 6 years ago, but now they are managing the show very well. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for that. That was a lot of information, very valuable information. I have, when we were discussing all these things, one question that came to my mind is, so Sir told there are 9,000 workers. We are talking about men, women getting into all these things. So what is that skill set you all feel that Gen Zs should have to get into the manufacturing sector? What are the skill sets?
I will answer your question. So if you see, you know, the way the things are moving, so there are two aspects of that. One, that we always talk about the high, you know, high tech and all, But one thing which we are losing is the high touch. Okay. So if you have a combination of both, you are making the entire workforce as a very productive workforce and all. So the technology-wise, if I say, I mean, there are a lot of technologies currently where you need not to go into a very diverse kind of a work conditions. So if you take the example of the lot of manufacturing organizations, if it is related to oil and gas and also, if you see the temperature, the way the things managed there, I mean, say into the refineries and all, it's very high and all. But now technology is now replacing a lot of things where you feel that it's a hazardous and then work condition is not very conducive. So you can leverage those kind of a technologies. I can give you the example, in a lot of the oil wells and all, we are using the robots there. Okay, so for the robots, you require three kinds of, I can say basically the knowledge. So one is related to the AI, the other is related to algorithm, and third is related to machine learning and the deep learning. So these are the three things, which you should have, I mean, with yourself. The second part is related with the IoT and all. So IoT is basically, it is giving a lot of information on your dashboard. It's all touchless, okay? So if you're running a generator or a boiler, I mean, say in the plant location, and you have a data points there, for each of the seconds what you're doing, I mean, say as a part of your, say the generator, all the data is coming on the dashboard. So what is the consumptions of, my diesel there? You can see it very nicely over there. Okay, what is the consumptions of, what electricity we are generating, by. So those kind of things you can get it very smartly and all. So some of the technology which I say, like data analytics is also required. Similarly, the things which are related with the RPA, that is the robotic automation processes, because now the way of the work which is going on currently, it is completely getting a digital platform way of working. So how quickly you can create a platform right from planning to explorations to manufacturing to basically getting into the logistics part and bringing it to the various stacks, either it's a B2B model or B2C models and all. So these all are automated. Even I can tell you by sitting here that my truck got loaded and it started say from Jaipur and he's going to reach say on 12th of this month to the Mumbai port and all. So that kind of anticipation you can make it, and based on that you can plan it. Now the second part which is moving very fastly, it's called JIT2. That is just in time 2, because there is no need of procuring a lot of the things and keeping in your basically in your I mean say the manufacturing plant and also like cement. So if you're manufacturing cement, you require the coal is one of the the I can say the raw materials for that. Then you require these limestones and all. So no need to keep in the I mean in the organizations and that way in the factory premises, because that is going to take your operating cost as well as the opportunity cost both. So you have a tie-up with your business partners, okay, who can provide you all kind of the raw material just in time. So if required, say tomorrow, you can just order to the vendor and he can provide those kind of the raw materials. So here also the technology is evolving, and it is also changing very fastly, because the basic objective of any of the manufacturing organization is basically how productively you are using the resources, because that is going to help you in terms of calculating your EBITDA and also your profit margins and all. So these things are it's changing very fastly. The only thing that which you need right now is that how you are leveraging the technology to make your current operation and the in the manufacturing operation into a very smart operation. So that's that's the journey which you have to travel. And a lot of the organization I am saying in India itself, if you see we are also getting into semiconductors, then also we are getting into the chips and all. If you take the example of NVIDIA, I don't know whether you have heard this name and all. If you see their journey in last 3 years, from say $300 million, I mean say organizations, now currently they are into a $1 trillion organizations. And the entire journey they have just completed in last 18 months. Say from 200 million to getting into 1 billion, and from 1 billion to getting into. So if you see their history and all, similarly they have challenged any of the other, I mean say the chips making companies, semiconductor like Amazon, Intel and all. So if you are able to leverage the technology, I think the growth is it cannot be I can say defined. It is seamless, infinity. So take the advantage of the technology, and I can see Gen AI and all, which is going to be one of the things. Of course we are currently talking about it's going to take our job and all, because everything will get robotized and, all the things will be done by chatbot or a virtual assistant kind of a scenarios. But I'm telling, this is also going to generate, mark my word, going forward within 5 years, it's going to generate more than 10 million jobs. Because we can see it, the way the things are moving very fastly. If I take the example of, say, 20 years back, when computer came and all, we said it is going to take the jobs and all. And I still remember, I was working with the government and all, when I used to visit, some of the regional offices and all, why we wanted to go for the computerizations, because the trade union, the people, they were shouting and all. But just see, within 10 years, we became, IT mighty across the world, not only in India. So that same kind of a momentum which you are creating currently, I'm telling you, going forward, if you take, say any of the business, whether it's a banking or it's a finance and all, everywhere you have, technology. For getting a SIM card, if I remember 5 years, 6 years back, you have to wait for 3 days, just to get the activation. Now just see what is the, the scenario right now. It's just 3 minutes. Your activation, and going forward, very, soon you will find that no SIM card is, it's all virtual. If you see in my phone, I'm using the virtual SIM cards. So this is how, the technology is changing, and lot of the things are also getting replaced. So be ready for that. And the only one thing which I say that, one, you should have a digital mindset, which is very important. And second is the, you have a agility for the learning. If you're, if you're not, learning, then you will become redundant. And I still remember, one of the statement given by Alvin Toffler, I don't know whether you heard his name or. The illiterates of the 21st century will be not those who cannot read and write. The illiterates will be those, who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Mark this word and make yourself, very vibrant, very agile, and do a continuous learning, because that is going to decide your career, that is going to decide your fate, that is going to decide your EBITDA also, for self. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. That was a very interesting thing. We are really having wonderful discussion, very powerful talks that we are having from our esteemed colleagues. So I think we can take 1 or 2 more questions, few more minutes of our discussion. And that will be, thank you so very much. So positive, so energetic they are to join with us for few more minutes. Thank you so very much for that. So with that, sir, I get 1 more question in my mind. Maybe you can tell me, what, when he was talking about the SIM card, where we're getting the hard SIM, now it's all into eSIM, a continuous improvement, growth, innovation. So my question is, what the HR can do with innovation and continuous learning towards their workers?
So, I'd start with Saraswati. If you look at, due to modernization, a lot of things are changing. If you look at the technology, the way machines were operating earlier and how machines are coming now with a lot of, automation, the kind of system is coming. So again, the innovation part which comes from the people, when you have a diverse workforce. So as an HR, there are quality circle, there are cross-functional teams, which HR has to promote within the organization, giving them a problem. Like, in our organization, when we make a reverse mentoring, when you call the people and having a discussion about any complex problem. So as an HR, a lot of things, which we have to institutionalize as a process. What happens, sometimes, it's fade away with the time. Unless until, it's add some value. If we initiate any policies, like diversity, we always talk about gender diversity, right? Rather than gender diversity, we talk about the people with a special ability. If you ask me, in our organization, we have a lot of dumb and mute people, they are again, deaf and mute people are working on the shop floor. And if you ask me, they're adding more value. So I think when you say how to create that, I think unless until we have a platforms where we reward, and I think reward and recognition is one of the area, where we have to work hard, where we can reward. So we, as an organization, if you ask me, Welspun, we have launched one portal, Manthan, which is an online platform, where people from the workman to anyone, working on the shop floor, they can just share their ideas. And those ideas will be reached to the top management, and they will get rewarded monetarily. They will feel that their ideas are valued, they listen. And when you promote that culture in the organization, then I think more ideas keep on coming to you. So how we infuse, how we channelize those things as an HR through policies, I think we can add value there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir, please.
Probably, while Manoj pointed out many things around the technology piece on learning the skill side, the technical skill side, AI, ML, etc. But I think one of the things which I just wanted to bring to the fore to this platform is about the younger generations actually need to be very resilient in their mindset. Also need to be having or need to have the ability to fathom ambiguity and deal with ambiguity, because tomorrow's situations in organizations is not going to be a straightforward black and white. So I think it's going to be shades of gray all over. So how do you actually fathom the skill of being able to deal with ambiguity which is there in the environment today and for the future? So these couple of things which probably is going to be very, very key. And the fact that imbibe the philosophy that change is the only constant. Yeah, that's what actually help people to grow. And the whole aspect that he spoke about, how do I learn, unlearn and relearn, is going to be driven from that perspective. That if you embrace the approach of that change is the only constant, you actually start then developing your own strategies and you start developing your own mantras of growth, etc. But the biggest thing is no longer the jobs are going to be straitjacket, even in manufacturing. They're going to be like amoeba, changing shapes and forms and variety of things that will happen. So therefore, the ability to deal with ambiguity at whatever levels in the organization you are is going to be very paramount, and be resilient to changes that would happen. Yeah, that's biggest important dimension, which I thought, besides the technical skills, etc., at a personal level, the youngsters need to probably get these structures developed in their mold and their mindset. And I think the business schools like Regenesis should start evolving mindsets of people for the future when they are actually training younger generations in the environment.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Please.
Just wanted to add. So, in fact, so for the HR is concerned in my organization, so we have taken a journey, say, from employee engagement to experience, and now we are talking about the empowerment and all. And during the entire journey, we have just taken 4 E's. Okay, so the first is enabling. So what you have to do, you have to equip your employees with whatever the tool is required to work in a very effective and a productive way. So first is enabling. So maybe it is required, you require some kind of the software which needs to be there. Okay, like any ERP software or any data visualization software like Tableau or SimData kind of things and all. So this is one thing. Second part is, once you enable your employees and all, then second part is the engagement. The second is engagement. So you give engagement, meaningful engagement, because currently if I take the example of, I call it not Z generations, I call it I generation, because everything is, getting into internet and all. So you need to be very patient on, these young people are, they are the geeks. Okay, so when I'm saying geeks, they are basically, they are very fast in terms of, they don't want to wait for 3 years contribution. After 3 years, I will get a promotion to the next level. Then my increment will happen, for 1 year. After 1 year, okay, once the appraisal is completed, they look for, why you wanted to do the appraisal, yearly basis. Why you're not doing, say the appraisals on quarterly basis? Why you're not doing the, the appraisals on daily basis? Because there are a lot of tools are available. If I take the example of Jira is, one of the tool or workboard, where you can evaluate the, the contribution of the employees on daily basis. So daily basis, this work allocations based on monthly or based on the quarterly, this much you have achieved it at all. So the second part is basically how meaningfully you are engaging the employees. Because if the moment he will feel desalienated, he will leave the job and he will look for something else. So second part is this. Third part is the encouragement. So encouragement is basically if somebody is doing good, please appraise publicly. He has done a good job and all. So the reward and recognitions, it doesn't need that you should wait for a month kind of things and then you are going to get reward. Give a tatkal reward. What is say harm in that? So this is the second part. And third part, the fourth E is basically it's talking about, the energy piece. Because now we are seeing, a lot of the work-life balance is also, it's getting disbalanced. Because now everybody is on digital, and if you see, each of the, the I generations, they are spending not less than, 16 to 17 hours, only on the digital screens and all. So that is also bringing a lot of fatigues and all. So how you can bring, some kind of initiative as a HR, where, you can provide some kind of a balance in terms of, they should also get yoga kind of things, meditation kind of things and all. So those, those things are also important, because going forward, the digital fatigue is going to be one of the top problem across the world. And we have already started seeing, in your, I mean, say in your house also, your kids and all, just see how much time they are spending on the digital part and all. And this is going to happen, same with the organization and also with the manufacturing. So we need to, have focus on these kind of things. Then only you can, empower your employees. Because in my organization, if I apply for a travel, okay, there is no approval system there. I am ownership, I do have owner. I will just apply it, and the rest of the part, hotel booking, ticket booking, everything will happen. If I apply for a leave, there is nobody who is going to approve on my leave. It's all auto leave. And this is with my previous organization also. So that way, what we are, giving the message to our employees that we trust you, we are empowering you also, so that, you can drive. So this is the era of the self-service. Don't wait for, कि IT का बंदा आएगा और IT का बंदा आके जो है हमारा सिस्टम को ठीक करेगा और फिर हम उस पर वर्क करेंगे. No, self-service. You develop the talent in such a fashion with your employees that they should start working, having no dependency with IT, no dependency with finance, no dependency with HR. Bring the system and the process in such a fashion that he should work on himself. So that kind of, the scenarios is also coming. Yes, I am saying we are ahead of the time and all. Manufacturing will take some more time, but if you take the example of, IT organizations or a service organization, they are already into the league. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. That was very interesting. So as we were discussing about being an amoeba and being self-serviced and everything, ma'am, I have a question to you. You have a psychology background, so I think you can help me out with this. The question that comes to my mind is, we spoke about the skill set, what kind of progress we are having, etc., etc. And the word that he told is so very true. Having so many devices with us, and all the time we are also on the laptops, work from home, lot of things that happening. What are what should be the approach of HR towards its employees in working on their emotional and spiritual intelligence part? So because we at Regenesis, we give a lot of importance to emotional and spiritual intelligence. We have wonderful personal mastery program. So I want to ask you what HR can do in which you make the Gen Z or the current generation ready for working in a manufacturing sector?
A very interesting question, I would say. So it's very difficult to, there's no book available which will help you to read and be ready for the lessons of life or for the tests that life will throw at you. And this is very, very important for the Gen Z to understand, because they feel everything can be Googled and everything can be, there's something at the snap of a finger, you'll find an answer. That's not true. So what I usually tell to my Gen Z is that everybody's eaten that sweet gulab jamun. Yeah? Now imagine if you go to a sweet shop and you ask for a gulab jamun, and you see that the gulab jamun is kept separate and the sugar syrup is kept separate. When you ask for it, they pick up one gulab jamun, put it into the sweet syrup, do it like this, and serve it to you. Will it taste good? No. You have to be immersed in it. You have to be in it. Just get into the grind. Do not be afraid. Every day is going to be a test. That's okay. There's no right and wrong to things every time. That's very important for the Gen Z to understand, specifically when we talk about the Gen Z. So be the gulab jamun, guys. Yeah? And most importantly, we have to teach them how to be, rather, before we teach them, we need to learn how to empathize with them. Their challenges are very different. The peer pressure is literally killing them. My children coming back and telling me that I just don't know how to gather enough followers, even in his school. And I am zapped. This though even I have not learned in my school. Yeah? That's the challenge. We need to empathize with them, They are not making it up. It really is. Before we start teaching them, we need to learn ourselves, So please learn as HR leaders, because we are all not into their generation, but we need to learn. This is one skill that I think all of us would sit here and we'll have to agree that we need to empathize with the Gen Z. They are going through a lot, At every minute, they have to prove themselves. Their attention span is just 3 seconds, And they're just so habitual of scrolling. To engage them takes a lot of hard work. It cannot just happen at a snap of a finger like they expect. Yeah? So it's a tough road ahead, but we'll do it, provided we are patient to learn ourselves and then maybe preach. We have to consciously talk about empathy. We have to consciously talk about how some things are going to be slow. You know, it's not, everything is not going to be super fast. Fast and Furious is only into movies, not in real life. And that's something that we have to consciously practice and preach. So I think that's the only mantra that we can follow and ensure that some part of it is being imbibed by them. That's
one of the programs that we have taken care. I think we are experimenting with this. Sorry, I'm just jumped in. We have actually experimenting with the employee assistance programs, where we actually provided a line of communication outside of the organization, where we have counselors on board who actually take lots of these kind of issues that we spoke about, and mental wellness being one of the dimensions that we are working as an organization to be promoted. And that's where we started much before COVID as well, but it helped us in COVID and beyond. So we're actually continuing with that program. This is a confidential assessment, not assessment, a confidential speak-up line for all our employees right from top to bottom. And we have actually provided them the service of a counselors, which is an anonymous service. Plus, besides that, we actually do a lot of, through this process, we actually also do a lot of engagement of employees at large to deal with a lot of issues around mental wellness. It could be stress management piece, it could be yoga online, it could be issues around, I have a challenge with my boss, but he can't talk to the boss, so you have a counselor, go to that. So that's where we have experimented, and I think it is paying some kind of dividends for us. It's not that it's completely up there and everyone is like 100% of the using. Also, we need to probably position that process properly as well. But having said that, we as an organization have recognized the fact of mental wellness or mental well-being, not wellness is not the right word. Mental well-being is the issue that we've recognized could be one of the challenges that we don't get talked of in the organization. So this process of providing these counseling and psychological counseling services has actually had a great impact. In fact, one instance where I'm proud of, or rather the HR community is proud of, is basically we had a very disastrous case which was we saved a person from giving up his life. So which has helped us in that fashion. So I think it's a very phenomenal service which has helped to save a life actually. So we've taken some of these kind of initiatives which probably have, in a sense, spread the message that this is an organization which is offering something which is beyond work, 9 to 5. Any part of the day, any night calls, day calls, any person can go and seek remedial measures out of that.
Yeah, I think if we see, before COVID, we never heard of this kind of a thing, when we talk about employee well-being, right? When we talk about the mental health of an individual. So I think similar like in our organization, we have an employee assistance program, which is communicated well. I think it's important, before rolling out those things to align people what exactly we meant by that and making them understand how people can benefit from that. So where, a lot of things keep it confidential, individual counseling is available. Apart from that, just to add, Saraswati, the mentoring and buddy, that plays a bigger role. When it's come to Zenzi, when you say in terms of engaging and, which she was talking about how to immerse that. So where that is, unless until we have institutionalized those things in organization, it's just remain, there, unless until people, there is somebody to hear them out, what exactly they meant. What are they looking for? Because their needs are very, very different. Today, everybody, looking for self-paced learning model, right? The time has gone when we want to put them in a classroom or any engagement program. So they want to select themselves, what exactly, and this program can help them to grow. So I think that is why a lot of customized, when we talk about new training programs keep on coming and they are evolving. And at the same time, the organization level program like everybody had like artificial intelligence, machine learning. Those are, meant for everyone. I think this is what it is. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, please add.
Yeah, just to add that mental well-being, in manufacturing sector, we have introduced for their mental well-being, we have introduced coffee with plant and HR ad monthly. So whatever the issue they have faced with their peers and or their seniors, they can easily talk to the plant head or HR head, so that can be addressed at any point of time. And that buddy, that mentoring, so assigning a mentor, not his boss or other boss, other manager, assigning with him, so that weekly they meet for 1 hour to have one-to-one conversation about their well-being or any other discrimination is happening in a place or any other bias they are facing. So it is giving positive result for us. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I think most has been covered on this subject, but I would like to just add that we are also having a very satisfying experience with having counselors in all our locations, most of the locations. And so there is people would come, they would speak out, they'll cry, and so basically it's catharsis for them. Many of the times they just want to take it out of their system, and when they emerge out of the session, they're healed. So I think that really works well. We don't, of course, disclose, and first we had to position this as the right and complete confidentiality, assure the employees on that. And also we get a report from the counselors and we collate it, but they never mention any names. But what are the areas, the top 7 areas which are worrying employees? So that has helped us as well, and that's discussed among the leadership teams, and that has really helped us to be more sensitive and to track it well. And it's become much better now, I would say. The better part, even I would say the other aspect is that our performance is also getting better. Business performance, I'm saying, because of this. We have seen significant improvement in that.
So we have a brilliant panel here. I have a lot of questions to ask, but it's time for the audience. It's a wonderful opportunity for the audience over here and also audience online to put your questions to our brilliant panelists, and we can know more on this subject. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm from eMilestones. My name is Nisha. eMilestones is a recruitment consulting company. I don't know why Mani sir is not taking up this point, but this is something which is very interesting, which I'm going to talk about your company. So we're touching Gen Z, we're touching diversity, but like Sanjay sir mentioned in the beginning, that we are finding it difficult to get candidates at a senior level, because most of the senior candidates are getting counter offers. So Raymond's, I think couple of years, they got into real estate. Their core business was manufacturing. So my favorite industry is real estate. I was talking to one candidate, and he already had 2 offers in hand. The 3rd offer was from Raymond. So I was talking to him, and this was the 4th position which I was giving him. He said, no, Nisha, I already got an offer. So I said, how many offers you have? He said, 3. Oh, so which one are you going to take? He said Raymond. The offer was less as compared to 3. The reason is, the moment he put down his paper, there was a 3 months notice period, and he was serving 1 month, so there are 2 more months. So what Raymond is doing, they are actually sending gifts on their birthday. They are inviting them for, yeah. So, so I yeah, there are a lot of stuff they are doing it. So then I actually started telling this idea to rest of my client, you should start doing this, because most of the HR people are just not calling their candidate before joining. That's something that's important here.
Thanks for bringing that point. Now I'm excited to share. No, there's a, so there is a huge amount of work that we do on the onboarding process, and we don't do it mechanically. And I have, not me, but the whole team is so geared to engage with the newcomer so very well. It's not just about gifts. We spend n number of hours to actually onboard the person, in the sense that He spends time with my CEO, his line managers with a coffee date, with myself, with my HR head. And we have very less dropouts in that sense. And we make sure we have very fantastic town halls that we do. And we get invited, all the newcomers, even if they have not joined the company. So they experience the culture up there. So that's where probably we make a differentiator in the marketplace, that the guy has not joined, but we take chances. And we call him for a very open house session with the CEOs, where the CEO shares numbers upfront with a newcomer who's, I don't know whether he'll join us or not, but we take that chance. But having said that, in especially the real estate sector, we are actually working on the dimension of culture. It's a very new business for us. It's a very happening business. It's full of millennials. And that's the business where we are targeting 30, and we already crossed. In fact, yesterday I had a review with my team. We're actually, on diversity, we are 30% out there as a team. And that's where I talked about the Women Brigade. So we're a small company, 2,500 crores only in 3 years. But typically, we have made a lot of engagement with people, with the community. In fact, in that company, we have built a whole company around houses that you find in schools. There is a Maverick house, there is a Pioneer house, so that the interpersonal skills, interpersonal issues that happen with the team and silos that get built, we have broken that by building the whole company as a house. The school system that you had houses in the schools, that's how we built that entire company. And there are a lot of experiments which are being carried on, and since you are in the real estate sector, get the people coming. No, I think it's a small place, but it's a very happening place. And we were a great place to work, certified last year. Many things which have happened, like the house system I spoke about, many things around very basic stuff of how do I say thank you on Gratitude Day. We celebrate Gratitude Days in the organization. We have a whole lit wall of fame in the whole organization, where quarterly, monthly, all those celebrations happen. But what is more important, the CEO is my HR manager. And that's why it is driven. That's how it is driven. Yeah. It's not HR that it does. The line managers drive HR. We have actually made sure that the line managers talk about HR. The line managers are the ambassadors. So the processes are very, very, defining for us. They are very, very important for us. And we take this pride that with a very short period of time, within 3 years' time, in the real estate sector, from a culture standpoint, I think we have started making noise and reviews. And I think that I'm fortunate that I have a team of business leaders as well as HR leaders who are very passionate and dear, and they're very passionate and very, very, very up to it in terms of hiring, maybe the way we handle people, etc. So I think I didn't want to bring that, but since you brought, I can write a thesis on this company.
Yeah, he has posted a question, so I think if he can unmute and speak. Okay. All right, so the question from the online, Dr. Rajesh Sharma asked this. The reward system, including the way employees are appreciated, is changing. This is largely in Gen Z effect. Will older employee accept the new reward system, like giving online badges that can be shared on social media? This is his question.
So in fact, I will give you one example, what we are doing. So we were running with one particular program called Digital Dexterity. So the objective of the program is basically how to make our entire employees relevant in terms of upskilling and reskilling. And for running this particular program, what we did, we started a very seamless, customized program, which was uploaded on the LMS. And it was a very blended format. So when I'm saying blended format, you can start with the e-learning, which is a curated e-learning, and all the, the courses which has been basically identified to make you more productive and efficient and effective. These courses were basically, assigned from the backend to your LMS learning journey and all. And what we did, the exciting thing, which is now answering the question, is basically who's our fastest finger, because our objective as a part of the learning format was learning on the fingertips 24/7. So if you ask me, can I do the learning? I can do it right now, on my portal, which is already on my mobile phone and all. So that way, we said, okay, all the learning formats will be basically in a smartphone and you can do it from anywhere and all. So the person, those who are basically a fastest finger in terms of, those who are completing the courses in a very, faster pace and all, there is a leaderboard, okay? And in leaderboard, top 5 employees, those who have completed the course, they are going to get the badge. And the badge will be basically converted into silver badge, bronze badge, silver, and the gold. And gold will be converted into a certificates plus the, the recognitions also with a cash amount kind of thing. So we were trying to, build a culture, which we call it the leaderboard culture and all, where the person, those who are completing, and this learning is not only e-learning and all. Once you have completed the e-learning format, you have to get into a classroom. Once you have completed the classroom, you have to go for the hands-on practice. Once you have completed the hands-on practice, then you have to go for assessment. Once you complete the assessment, then there is a stage called the mentorship program, where you have to showcase that what you have learned as a part of the learning path, how you are going to apply those. So you have to come with the project, and the project will be mentored by the mentor, who is going to give on that. So once you have completed the entire, the learning path, then you are going to get the final certificate, which you can upload on the LinkedIn, because in any of the course, we are leveraging Coursera, we are leveraging LinkedIn, and we have a R University, which is a Reliance University, which is a internal courses. So anything which you are doing, you can post it on the social media. LinkedIn is already, it is getting posted once you complete the course. Same with the Coursera and all. So this is how, we have created a culture within the organizations where whatever you are doing, it is being recognized, not only internally by your boss, by your employees, by your colleagues and all, but externally also, and that is giving a lot of motivations, so that you can continue your learning passion with some kind of the outcome which is going to you get it as a badge.
Just one small sharing, since he mentioned, there is some very innovative experiment that we are trying. We call it the Soul Club. What it means in Soul Club is basically, this is a community of people that we are building, community of practices, I would say, or communities that we are building for employees. It could be a running club, it could be a music club, it's a dance club, nothing to do with work. We have actually started about a year back, where people come together to actually form a group of community. What I'm interested in running, so I'll actually with my mates form a Soul Club of running. I will form a music club where we train people on music. I will form a dance club. So this is completely freewheeling, done by, with the organization facilitates that, but we have a complete site on for our employees to actually join any of these clubs that they would look at. So otherwise what happens is very monotonous and humdrum. Kaam karo, learning karo, ye karo, but there's nothing beyond work. So I think we have experimented, and last 1 year has given such huge benefits for our people in terms of the kind of enthusiasm that has developed for these soul clubs, so to speak. We have a cycling club, a running club. So we are trying to make sure that beyond work, what is there for me as a Remondite? What do I need to do? And this has really paid a lot of dividends. The culture part that you spoke, one of the initiatives is also this, that why people want to join us in spite of the fact that we may not be the 90th percentile positioning, because we are actually working on culture a lot. And some of these interventions, like what is put on onboarding and the soul club, etc., are paying very differentiated rewards for us. To give one stat, in the real estate sector and the other sectors, my joining rate is as high as 95%, 98%. We don't have dropouts. Thank God, I hope so it remains. So it is something to do beyond rewards, because we are not maybe the highest pay master, but typically we actually position ourselves a place where you can build your own careers, where you can actually look at Soul Club as one of the other initiatives. You can build your careers. Like he said, Reliance University, we have a Raymond University on manufacturing, on supply chain. We tied up with a lot of universities from outside. So a lot of things happening. I didn't want to position that as well, only branding kar raha hai, but since you mentioned a lot of things which we actually do, which probably we don't tom-tom about much, but we want people to speak like you spoke about.
Just to add something to what Adhir said just now, and you said, What we learned from our branding consultant while we were rebranding our company, our brand identity and the logo and the brand values, what we learned from them is, and we have practiced it in full swing, it's not about rewards specifically, but in general, that when an employee writes on the social media, compared to a company post, the authenticity, or rather the perceived authenticity, is far more. So I think we as HR and as companies, we should really encourage our employees to write. So you need to have a policy, of course, on social media, but the more they write, the more you get to know, the people believe in it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. So we are having one last question from our audience.
This question is for all the panelists. This is Pratik Dabhore from Renewsys. So I have two questions basically. One to satisfy my own intellectual curiosity, and the other is, to understand more on the learning part, learning and development part. So what different did China do, the China story, in terms of, not at the macro level, like macro level I understand the policy level, but I'm speaking in terms of micro level, in terms of HR. What was a Chinese gentleman doing in 1981 or say 1980s when they opened up? Like, what was a Chinese gentleman from the HR department doing? So what differently did they do that they reached this scale? This is the first question. When we are talking about manufacturing, we definitely need to address what China did differently. The second one is, in terms of unlearning, the second question, especially the employees who are more than, say, a decade or 2 decades old in terms of the company. How do we, tell them to unlearn something, because they have a good experience of the company's culture. So how do we tell them to unlearn something? Learning, telling them something new in terms of learning will be slightly an easier task, but telling them to unlearn something shall be a gigantic task. So can you help me with both of the questions? Thank you so much.
I will answer your second question, and I do have a very relevant example. During the COVID period, we know that the entire world was, completely on the standstill. Nothing was moving and all. The only one thing which was moving was the digital world, because that doesn't require any kind of, the physical proximity and all. And we were also struggling. So if you see, the people in Reliance, in my company, majority of the senior managements are very old. So they work with the Dhirubhai Ambani kind of, and their digital dexterity is still, I can say it was very low and all. But all of a sudden, we started using Zoom, we started using GeoMeet, we started using, a lot of the digital platform for running the entire show and all. And we're surprised to know that, the adoption of the new technology during that particular period, because it was not a change management, okay? You have your options, okay, whether I should go or not, whether I should learn or not, whether I should upskill or not. It was a compulsive, the things. And during that particular period, still I remember very senior people in my organization, they started earlier, before COVID, we have to wait for once in a week he used to come to the office, because most of the time he's sitting in some other offices, and one day he comes at 8:30 in the physical, in the office in RCP, and he continues till 9:30 in the night. So the whole day, there is a sequence of meetings and all, and I don't know whether I'm getting an opportunity to, talk to him and take some decision. So decision was also a little bit slow at that particular point of time. And when the entire things got converted into a digital part, which they have learned very fastly, now the FaceTime with the same person, I used to get every day 15 minutes in the morning. That's the, the adoption of the technology, and for which, we have not done any kind of, the change management. There was no resistance because there was no options. And today, that momentum which you have created, still, you can talk of, the Office 365 and all, that started, at that point of time only. But my organization, when the COVID started, the entire workforce was on the Teams. Entire workforce. You can think of it, how the ITs, they have perceived. Of course, nobody was prepared for this, all of a sudden everything will stop. And we continued, continuing our all productive work on the team itself. And that momentum which we have created, still it is going on. So one thing you just, keep it a note that learning and unlearning, if something is redundant, you're in a VUCA world, you're in a Bani world, okay. If something is redundant, you have to change yourself. If you're not changing, अगर नहीं तेज दौड़ोगे तो गिर जाओगे, धीमे चलोगे तो छूट जाओगे. Now you have to make your own pace, what pace you wanted to take it, so that you should be a part of, the entire things where the world is moving and all. If today I'm not, there are a lot of people, I will tell you in my organization, they have, very good in writing and all. But the moment they understood about the Copilot, the moment they understood about the Gamma.com, okay, the moment they understood about the ChatGPT, now you just see what kind of, the changes they are bringing in their writing skills and all. Just give a pointer, okay? Give a pointer, put it to the ChatGPT, within, whatever you want. You want 100 word, 200, everything will in very fancy language. Now your job is very simple, do the customization. If you look for a customization, do a small customization. Convert the entire, things into a Gamma.com, which is going to create a very beautiful, the slides for you. And then put it on the Copilot. You are a speaker. The speaker will be a constant, and the entire, the slides will run. This is the power of the technology. And if you're not learning these kind of things, you will become redundant. So learning is a continuous process. It doesn't matter, whether you're 50 years old or 60 years old. It is a continuous process, and you have to learn. That is the only thing, which is constant. And if you're learning, I may say, with the pace of the time, then you're relevant, then you're productive. Otherwise, you're redundant.
Yeah, there are actually two more questions online. So a quick comment on manufacturing and sustainability. This comes from Dr. Preeti Mishra online. A quick comment on manufacturing and sustainability. How would you answer that? Anybody, any panelist? She has asked the panel. Yeah.
So I work in two organizations. One is ITC. I feel that I don't need to say what ITC is famous for. The cigarette. Okay. And cigarette, how much pollution they can create and all. But we had a lot of good initiatives. We call it the triple bottom, where our focus was how we can manage the entire ESG. The second example I am taking with my current organization, again, it is the majority of the revenue is coming from the oil and gas. But we are also thinking of the new energy, which is a sustainable energy, and we have given a commitment to the world. Okay, by 2030 will be net zero carbon. And this commitment has been given in COP26. And we are moving on, hopefully I think by the way you are moving into the solar, the way we are moving into the biogas, the way we are moving into the wind, the way we are moving into the hydrogen, which is going to be the future, future energy. I think this particular piece will be properly addressed, and we have a good plan. And my company is known for scale. The moment, they will start, they will go for MVP version, and then they will go for the scale up. And it's not a problem, that.
Right. So maybe we can have this as the last question that comes from Dr. Nishikant. Do you think apparel manufacturing can shift base now to India from Bangladesh? Apparel. Shift base now to India from. Okay, okay.
So I think it's too early to recognize this because it's just a week-old issue that happened. I don't think that it will happen overnight, because you know, to understand from an ecosystem standpoint, Bangladesh has a lot of offering in terms of the competitiveness, also from an MNF status that the developed world has given to some of these countries, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Ethiopia, etc. They have duty drawbacks which we do not have. So it's too early for us to mention anything, but yeah, it lingers on for a long time. There is a lot of likelihood it can move to us or even to our neighboring Western neighbors, because their currency is in pits, so that is advantageous for importers, right? So it's a very different game plan which is actually operating, but too early for us to make any hazard a guess that it is going to, over a period of time, it is going to help India. But there are chances if India is able to play this game very effectively in terms of positioning us as a stable economy, a stable geopolitical environment in our own country, then yes, the buying community that is there in the Western world and in the European world probably could take heed and cognizance of this fact. But it's too early to actually make any loud statements, because we can't just on back of just one week evidence, we can't just say that whole manufacturing or whole apparel industry is going to shift out of Bangladesh. But yes, if we are able to play our own geopolitical issues rightly, and you are able to position ourselves as a very stable economy and stable country, yes, things can actually evolve and develop very fast.
Thank you so very much. So there is one question here and she wants to ask that. Yeah, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. I think it's late, but the last question. A lot of us been talking to, at least from my team, we talk to a lot of companies, and one of the company mentioned that women don't take up mechanical engineering or engineering that will help get into the plant, the typical lines, okay? And they said from 7% it's decreased to 4%, and too soon, we won't have any women taking up those courses. How do you think as HR we can encourage women to continue to take mechanical engineering and those engineerings that will help them in the plant?
So, yeah, so I will take your question, ma'am. Since I have just said that before COVID, we are 0% in women in manufacturing. Now we are started introducing that women's in manufacturing sector, and complete shop is managed by women, and that supervisor is also women. What we do when we recruit women graduates or diploma holders or BE, BTech, we take women leader along with us to showcase her journey in the manufacturing sector, how she has become a leader from that base position or engineer level, how she has taking the challenges, how she has grown in his progression, then professional life. So it is a live model for women to understand that in manufacturing there is a career and they can grow by leaps and bounds. And we have fast track growth, we have learning opportunities, we have online learning platforms, many other things which we showcase that women are working with us and working freely, independently and respectfully. Yeah.
I think to add, I think everything about communication, how we are, spreading that communication, sharing those growth stories. And I think if you look at today, there are women that are coming up. In my last organization, to name about that lady, she is managing around 6,000 people. She's heading that. Around 4,000 are male. So I think it's all about how when we are able to showcase those stories, taking those, female leaders outside, taking them for a campus hiring, talking about themselves, what is their experience in the organization, and how are they growing. So I think these things will definitely, increase the intake of the other branches as well. And looking at some numbers, I think in the coming years, I'm saying 50% going to female in the engineering graduates. I think that's how the Deloitte recently published a report. So I think number is going up. I think it's about a mindset, how we are positioning those policies, and conducive policies are, again, I'm saying unless until we have those policies in place, where we are able to create safety workplace, giving them, growth, they can see the clear career path, how they can progress. I think female are, I think talent, I would say talent is definitely going to grow. Not putting the gender there. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. We had such a wonderful session, and today, though we decided we are going to talk for 1 hour, the intelligent panelist with energetic audience, we really did not know how the clock worked today. Okay, now it's time for us to appreciate, token of appreciation from Regenesis. I request Dr. Ms. Shamita Shetty, Global Sales Director, to please come and hand over the token of appreciation to Mr. Manoj. Oh, okay, Dr. Manoj. Yeah. Mr. Sanjay Kumar. To Mr. Sanjay Kumar. To Mr. Subnesh Malhotra. Sir is a regular member of ISKCON, very regular in visiting temples, and he's very spiritual, is what I got to know in the discussion. Mr. Adir Mane from Raven. Mr. Manish Prashar from Blue Star. Okay. And I request Viju Joy to hand over token of appreciation to Nidhi. Thank you so very much. Now I request Dr. Marco Sharavania, our chairperson, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you. This was beautiful, beautiful discussion. Yeah, I feel we could, talk for many, many more hours. I enjoyed really your inputs. I think large companies, there was a direct relationship between size of companies and participation tonight, especially Reliance and Raymond. Yeah. So thank you so much. I hope this is the beginning of a long-term relationship. You have the same purpose in life, but developing human beings, leaders, conscious leaders, making our world a better place. I think that's what brought us together tonight here. And I hope this relationship will continue for the rest of our lives, And I hope to see you delivering lectures and master classes, and maybe some of you becoming, full-time academics. Yeah. Maybe when you retire, as older we become, we get stronger desire to share our knowledge and insights with younger, generation. Yeah, it's a fascinating world of technology and people and human mind. The mystery of human mind. And I've been listening to input and various contributions the last few days. We have every day one event. We had several events this week around financial services, and how technology in the future will be able to help us to manage people. And yesterday someone was saying how technology in the future will, or soon, already is doing it, will be able to recognize our moods at work. And help us to understand, where are people, and prevent, people leaving, and so we can increase staff retention, and so we'll be able to detect when people are unhappy, level of happiness, level of engagement, and we'll know these people are at risk. Maybe we should intervene to retain them, or maybe to do something to get their engagement and performance and the rest. Yeah, so it's beautiful. I love technology. When I heard about this event, manufacturing event, first thought that came to mind was this movie, Shrikant. You saw this movie before, and I fell in love with manufacturing. I saw this factory, and it's a beautiful movie. Those of you who haven't seen it, it's really beautiful. Yeah. And I hope that Shrikant becomes president of India in the future. Yeah, it'll be great. So, if you wonder about my accent, I come from a country called Croatia. I've spent most of my life in South Africa and India and in Croatia. So I look forward to hosting you. If some of you decide to come and visit Croatia, I'll invite you to stay at my home. We have a property on the coast. If you come to South Africa, if you decide to come and visit, wildlife or go for safari, please let me know. We'll connect on WhatsApp, and we'll host you. We're not paying you for this tonight. I know your time is very, very, very expensive, and you have big responsibility on your shoulders. Thousands and tens of thousands, and hundreds of thousands of people rely on them. And yeah, it is very. I feel privileged, to have you here to talk to us and to our students, and we will transmit this, conversation to our students, 300,000 students, alumni across the world, 190 countries, and yeah, we're going to have some nice food and some drinks. Those of you who drink, so I look forward to really building long-term, mutually beneficial and rewarding relationship. You're very, very, very special people. There's a lot of wisdom insights and humanness and goodness. And I feel really, really connected with you tonight, you know. Tonight was the longest event, you know. I sent message to Sarah 3 times, you know. You know, she wanted to stop this like, 40 minutes. I said, don't, you know. Then again, she wants to stop, don't. You know, they cannot stop this beautiful discussion, you know. Those people who need to leave, you know, they can leave, you know. Yeah. So it was a beautiful energy, beautiful event, you know. So thank you so much for creating that energy, for participating, for sharing your insights and knowledge and wisdom. And thank you for to audience, those of you who travel. I know some of you have to travel now. You know, it's long travel, and yeah. So thank you again. Okay, thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. We'll have a group picture.
Recording stopped.